This morning on my way to work, I saw a traffic accident where the person who died was me. Yes, you heard that right. When I looked at the body covered on the stretcher in the ambulance, I saw my own face. How could this be possible? My name is Kevin Williams, and the story I'm about to tell you will challenge the boundaries of reality. Just like every morning, that Tuesday I left home at 8:30 a.m. While driving to work through the busy streets of Chicago, the heavy traffic was getting on my nerves. With music playing on the radio, I was thinking about that day's meetings. There was an important project presentation at work. I was going to present the report we'd been preparing for months with my department colleagues in front of manager Mr. Michael Peterson. A little nervousness was normal. But that morning, I had a different kind of uneasiness inside me. As if I sensed something bad was going to happen. Just as I approached the downtown intersection, I saw a horrific scene ahead of me. Two cars had collided, and one of them was starting to catch fire. One of the vehicles was the same make and color as the one I drove, a dark blue Honda Accord. A strange feeling came over me. As if I had experienced this scene before I got out of my car and ran to the accident scene. I mixed in with the crowd that had gathered around. The ambulance and fire department hadn't arrived yet. Only two police officers were there. Assistant Commissioner David Miller and the young police officer next to him, Officer Brian Taylor, were examining the scene. When I approached to see the injured, my heart stopped. The person in the burning car was unconscious and his face was covered in blood, but something seemed familiar. "Does anyone know this man?" asked Assistant Commissioner Miller. "If we can find his ID card, we can call his family." I saw the hand of the person they were trying to get out of the car. There was a scar in the same place, in the same shape. The mark that formed when I cut my hand with a knife in the kitchen last week. In exactly the same place, in the same way. A cold shiver ran through my entire body that moment the ambulance arrived. Paramedic Dr. Sarah Johnson and the technician next to her, Mark Rodriguez, were placing the injured man on a stretcher while I stood nearby. Because something was wrong and I couldn't understand it. The man was my age, and his height and build were similar to mine. Even the clothes he was wearing seemed strangely familiar. Paramedic Dr. Johnson turned to me. "Do you know this person?" "I'm not sure," I said, "but he looks familiar." My voice was barely coming out. When I saw the face of the man covered on the stretcher in the ambulance more clearly, my world collapsed. That face was mine. Same hair color, same nose, same scar on my forehead. Even the small cut I saw in the mirror while shaving that morning was in the same place. "This is impossible," I muttered. My hands started shaking. The person in the ambulance was me, but at the same time I was standing here. I was going crazy. I took out my cell phone and opened the camera. I looked at my own face. Yes, I was here. I was alive. I was breathing. I could speak. So who was the person in the ambulance? Police Officer Brian Taylor came up to me. "Sir, are you okay? You look very pale." I'm fine," I said, but my voice was barely audible. Just shocked. The ambulance drove away with sirens blaring. I was still there, standing at the accident scene. My hands were shaking and I couldn't comprehend what I had seen. The people around me could see me, they could talk to me. So I was alive, wasn't I? Assistant Commissioner Miller came up to me. "Citizen, you need to give a statement. You witnessed this accident." Of course, I said. But my mind was elsewhere. I was wondering if the man in the ambulance was breathing. Because if he was me, how was I standing here? While giving my statement, I tried to explain the details. But with every word that came out of my mouth, I was pushing the boundaries of reality. Because what I saw was the kind of thing that would drive a person crazy. "How old did he appear to be?" asked the assistant commissioner. "Around 30, I said. "My age." "What was his height and build?" "Like me. About 5 feet 10 inches, medium build." "Hair color?" "Brown. Like mine." With every answer I gave, the police officers looked at me strangely. As if instead of describing the person who died there, I was describing myself. And indeed I was. "Sir, might you know this person?" asked Assistant Commissioner Miller. "I don't know," I said. "But he looks very familiar." I decided to go home. I couldn't go to work in this condition. As I got in my car, I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. Yes, it was me. The same Kevin Williams. But then who was the person in the ambulance? While driving, there was news on the radio. One person was seriously injured and taken to the hospital in a traffic accident that occurred in Chicago this morning. The identity of the injured person has not yet been determined. The identity of the injured person could not be determined. How could this be possible? If that person was me, where was my ID card? Where was my wallet? Where was my key ring? I checked my pocket. My wallet was there. My ID card, credit cards, everything was in place. My house key was also in my pocket, so who was the person in the ambulance? And why did he look so much like me? At home I called my wife Emma. Emma, please come home urgently. Something very strange happened. What happened, honey? Your voice sounds terrible. I can't explain it over the phone. Please come. Emma was home in half an hour. I told her everything. Her eyes widened. She was in shock. We hadn't experienced anything like this in our 12 years of marriage. Emma was a very logical person. She worked as a psychology teacher. If she said such a thing was possible, maybe I wasn't going crazy. Kevin, this sounds very absurd, but... She paused. This morning when you left, I had a very strange dream. I dreamed that I lost you. It was very scary. What time? I said. Around 8:45. The alarm had gone off. It woke me up. 8:45. Exactly the time of the accident. My hair stood on end. This couldn't be a coincidence. Emma, let me tell you something else. The clothes the man in the ambulance was wearing were the same clothes I wore this morning. Same shirt, same pants. Emma opened my closet. But these clothes are here, she said. Which ones did you wear this morning? I showed her. Those clothes were in the closet, clean and ironed. As if they had never been worn. Kevin, this is very scary. Did you dream? No, definitely not. The police saw me, talked to me. People around me noticed me too. This was real. I started researching accident news on the internet. There was accident news on various news sites, but no details. It just said person of unknown identity. It wasn't even disclosed which service he was in at the hospital. Emma, I'm going to the hospital, I said. Are you crazy? What are you going to do there? I don't know. But I have to find out who that person is. Kevin, this is very dangerous. What if it really is you? What if the doctors there are surprised when they see you? She was right, but there was no turning back now. I went to the hospital. Dr. Michael Davis was on duty in the emergency room. I explained the situation to him, but of course I couldn't tell the truth. Doctor, I might be able to identify this morning's accident victim. Can I see him? Unfortunately, we cannot show you unless you are a relative. The patient is currently in intensive care. How is his condition? Critical. There's head trauma. He's not conscious yet. My heart rate accelerated. Head trauma. Intensive care. Unconscious. If that person was really me, I was currently fighting for my life. Doctor, is there any other information about the patient? His identity, age. Identity could not be established. He had no documents on him. About 30 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall, brown hair. Exactly my characteristics. I had no more doubt. Doctor, I'm worried about this patient. He looks very familiar. I understand. But why are you so worried? I don't know. It's a strange feeling. As I was leaving the hospital, security guard Robert Clark came up to me. Sir, were you at the accident scene this morning? Yes, I witnessed it. I'm going to say something very strange. When you were giving your statement at the accident scene, you looked very much like the injured person. Other police officers noticed it too. My heart stopped. Other people had noticed too. What do you mean? I don't know. But it's very strange. You're almost like twins. On my way home, I kept thinking, how could this be possible? How could science explain this situation? That evening I did research on the internet. I found the concept of doppelganger. In German it meant double walker. A person who looked exactly like someone else. But this wasn't just similarity. This was being exactly the same person I read about parallel universe theories. Maybe I had encountered myself living in another dimension. Maybe the me in that dimension had had an accident and crossed into this dimension. Emma came to me. Kevin, don't get this stuck in your head. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Emma, this can't be a coincidence. Every detail is the same. Scars, hair color, height, age. Even the clothes are the same. So how do you explain it? I can't explain it. But I have to find out. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about that scene. The face of the man in the ambulance was completely mine. How could this be possible? I didn't have a twin. There couldn't be anyone else who looked like me. Because even the smallest details were the same in my dream. I was talking to the person in the ambulance. He was telling me, "You are my other half. We are two parts of the same soul. But only one can live." In the dream I asked him, "So who are you?" "I am the version of you that was supposed to die," he said. "You are the one who will live." I woke up at 3 a.m. I was covered in sweat. The dream was too real. As if I had really talked to him. Emma woke up. "Kevin, you're having a lot of nightmares. You should see a doctor." "A doctor can't solve this problem, Emma. This is something much bigger." "What is it then?" "Maybe I really should have died. Maybe I was supposed to die in that accident this morning, but somehow I escaped. And that other me died in my place." "Kevin, this is very absurd." "Is it? So how do you explain it?" Emma couldn't answer. Because there was no logical explanation. The next morning, I went to the hospital again. This time I had prepared a different plan. I talked to hospital cleaning staff member Linda Martinez. She had been working there for 10 years and had gained everyone's trust. "Linda, I'm going to ask you something strange. Is it possible for me to see the accident patient in intensive care?" "Son, why? Is he your relative?" "No, but it's very important. Please." Linda trusted me. "Just 1 minute. Don't let anyone see." Walking down the intensive care corridor, my heart was beating wildly. When I looked inside through the glass door, my world was shaken. The person lying in the bed was really me. His face was covered with bandages, but I recognized him from his eyes and nose. This was me. "Linda, how long has this patient been here?" "Since yesterday morning. He's in very bad condition. Doctors don't give much hope." "Did he ever regain consciousness?" "No. He's in a coma. The head trauma is very severe." I wanted to go in and look closely, but it was too risky. Nurse Jennifer Wilson came. "Who are you? Are you a patient relative?" I. "Linda, what is this person doing here?" "He said he might be able to identify the patient." Nurse Wilson looked at me. Her eyes widened. You look very much like this patient." "Do I?" "Yes. You're almost like twins. Very strange." "I think so too. That's why I came." "So do you know who he is?" "No. But I'm trying to investigate." Nurse Wilson took me to the security guard. Security Chief Thomas Anderson interrogated me. "Sir, this is very suspicious. Why do you look so much like this patient?" "I don't know. I was surprised too." "Can I see your ID card?" I showed my ID card. Thomas examined it. Kevin Williams. 30 years old. 5 feet 10 inches tall. Brown hair. The patient has the same characteristics. "Yes, I noticed." "This is very strange. Could he be your twin brother?" "No. I don't have a twin." "So how is this similarity explained?" "I don't know. I'm trying to find out too." Thomas released me but said, "If you come again, I'll call the police." As I was leaving the hospital, I ran into Dr. Michael Davis. "Aren't you the person who came yesterday?" "Yes, doctor. The patient's condition has worsened. If his family is found, they may need to say goodbye." "What do you mean?" "Brain functions are at a stopping point. I have very little hope." I was shocked. If that person was really me, I was about to die. How would this affect me? Doctor, what happens when this patient dies? The body is taken to the morgue. If identity cannot be established, the municipality buries him. What about organ donation? We cannot donate organs because there is no identity. On my way home, I felt very bad, as if a part of me was about to die. And indeed it was. I told Emma everything. She was shocked too. Kevin, this is very scary. What if it really is you? What if you die too when he dies? I don't know, Emma, but I have to do something. What? Visit him. Talk to him. Maybe his consciousness will return. How? You can't go back to the hospital. I'll find a way. That night, I made my plan. I decided to enter the hospital with cleaning staff clothes. I would ask Linda for help. Early in the morning, I called Linda. Linda, I'm going to tell you something very strange. But please help me. What is it, son? That patient is really me. I know it sounds very absurd, but it's true. What do you mean? There's something called parallel universe. I encountered myself living in other dimensions. That me had an accident, this me escaped. Son, you're talking very absurdly. Linda, please. I want to go to him tonight. I want to talk to him. How? I'll enter with cleaning staff clothes. You help me. Linda thought a lot. Then she agreed. Only 10 minutes. No more. Okay. That night at 2 a.m. I went to the hospital. Linda met me. She gave me cleaning staff clothes. Only 10 minutes. Don't let anyone see. Okay. Walking down the intensive care corridor, I was very excited. This time I would be very close to him. Maybe I could even talk. When I entered the room, I could hear the sound of machines. Pulse sounds, the rhythm of the breathing device. The person lying in the bed was really me. I approached him. I held his hand. It was very cold. Hello, I said. I am your other me. His eyes were closed. He wasn't moving at all. I know this is very strange. But you are me, and I am you. I don't know how it's possible. The pulse monitor accelerated a little. Could he hear me? If you can hear me, please give me a sign. Nothing happened. I will continue to live on your behalf. I will love Emma. I will do my job. I will live your life. At that moment, the pulse monitor accelerated a lot. The alarm started ringing. I love you, I said. Forgive me. The nurses came running. I immediately left. As I left the hospital, I was experiencing very mixed emotions. When I touched him, I had a strange feeling. As if I was touching my own soul. This experience affected me greatly. The next morning, the hospital called. Nurse Jennifer Wilson was calling. Sir, were you at the hospital last night? No. Why? Someone who looked like you was seen on security cameras. Looked like me? Yes. Very strange. As if the patient visited himself. My heart stopped. I had been caught on camera. So what happened? The patient was very restless all night. His pulse kept changing. As if he was talking to someone. Was he talking? No. But it was like he was dreaming. How is his condition now? Even worse. The doctor says 24 hours. I told Emma everything. She was very surprised too. Kevin, this is very dangerous. What if the police find you? I don't know. But it doesn't matter anymore. How doesn't it matter? Because if he dies, I might die too. Maybe there's a connection between us. You're being absurd. Am I? So why did his pulse accelerate when he saw me? Emma couldn't answer. I couldn't go to work that day. I kept calling the hospital. The condition was the same. Doctors weren't giving hope, and the evening, Dr. Michael Davis called me. Sir, I know you're worried about the patient. Unfortunately, you need to say goodbye. What do you mean? He might die tonight. He's living connected to machines. Can I come to the hospital? There's an identity problem. But I understand humanely. Thank you. I went to the hospital. This time not secretly, but openly. Security guard Thomas Anderson met me. You came again. Yes. I want to say goodbye. Why? Because he's very close to me. Maybe he's my brother. You said you didn't have a brother. Maybe I don't remember. Maybe he's my twin. Thomas took me to Dr. Michael Davis. Doctor, I want to see the patient. Okay. But only a few minutes. Walking down the intensive care corridor, I was very sad. This would be the last time. I would say goodbye to him. When I entered the room, his condition was very bad. The breathing device was working more slowly. The pulse was very weak. Hello, I said. I came again. I held his hand. It was very cold. I know this is very strange. But you are me. And I am you. I don't know how it's possible. His eyes were closed. He wasn't moving at all. If you need to go, go. I will continue to live on your behalf. At that moment his eyes opened. He looked at me. I was very surprised. Can you see me? His eyes closed. But the pulse monitor accelerated. I know this is very difficult. But you're gone, I will live. The pulse monitor slowed down a lot. The alarm started ringing. Forgive me, I said. I will be happy on your behalf. The nurses came running. The doctor came too. Sir, please go outside. Okay. I was waiting in the corridor. Half an hour later, Dr. Michael Davis came. Sir, I'm very sorry. We lost our patient. My heart stopped. When he died, would I die too? I continued to breathe. I could speak. So I was alive. When? I asked. Just now. At 11:47 p.m. Did he suffer in his last moments? No. He went peacefully, as if someone was waiting for him. A strange feeling came over me, as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. But at the same time I felt a great emptiness. Doctor, what will happen to the body? Since identity cannot be established, the municipality will bury him. I'm very sorry. Can I cover the expenses? What do you mean? I want to bury him. A private funeral ceremony. But you're not his relative. Maybe I'm not. But I'm very close. Dr. Davis thought. There are procedures. But we can talk. On my way home, I was experiencing very mixed emotions. When he died, it was as if a part of me had died too. But at the same time, now there was only me. The real Kevin Williams, I told Emma everything. She was very affected too. Kevin, I'm very sorry. I know you were attached to him. Emma, I'm going to say something strange. When he died, I felt like I found myself. What do you mean? Now there aren't two different MEs. There's only one me. And that me is telling you this story. So how do you explain the truth? I can't explain it. Maybe parallel universes are real. Maybe souls can be split in two. Maybe death itself is an illusion. The next day, I took care of his funeral arrangements. I talked to the municipality. I wanted to bury him under the name Kevin Williams too. It seemed very strange, but I had no other choice to the funeral ceremony. Only Emma, Linda, and I were there. It was a very quiet ceremony. While burying the coffin, I said goodbye to him. Sleep well, other me, I said. I will continue to live on your behalf. What I had written on the tombstone, Kevin Williams, unknown traveler, rest in peace after the funeral, I felt a strange relief. I thought the mystery was now solved. But I was wrong. That night in my dream, I talked to him again. He told me this, Kevin, I didn't die. I just changed dimensions. Now you live in this dimension. I will live in the other dimension. Will we meet again? Maybe. But for now, goodbye. When I woke up, I was very peaceful. I knew this story was over. 3 months past. My life returned to normal. I was going to work, I was happy with Emma. But every day I thought about that accident, that strange experience. One day, I saw this news in the newspaper: Conference on Parallel Universe Theory in Chicago. Physicist Professor Dr. Samuel Harrison would speak about parallel universes. Went to the conference. Professor Dr. Harrison said this: according to quantum physics, there are infinite parallel universes. Every possibility becomes reality in a different universe. Maybe we are constantly transitioning between these universes. After the conference, I talked to him. I told him my story. He was very surprised. "This is very interesting," he said. "Maybe you really experienced a parallel universe experience. Is it possible?" In quantum physics, everything is possible. Maybe at the moment of that accident, two different possibilities became real at the same time. You died in one universe, you lived in the other. So why did I see both? Maybe you made an inter-universe transition at that moment. Very rare but possible. This explanation relieved me a lot. I knew I wasn't going crazy anymore. Here's the end of my story. That day of the accident, I encountered myself from two different universes. One died, one lived. And I was the one who lived. This experience taught me a lot. How fragile life is. How valuable every moment is. And maybe reality is much more complex than we think. Now every morning when I wake up, I give thanks. Because I know that in another universe, I died in that accident. But I'm alive in this universe. And this is the greatest gift. If you ever experience something like this, don't be afraid. Maybe the universe is giving you a second chance. Take advantage of this chance. Because life is much more mysterious and beautiful than we think. And maybe right now, in a parallel universe, another you is also listening to this story. He's also wondering, is this real? Here's my answer: yes, it's real. At least in my universe.